Good morning. It's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers. And today is Sunday, the 5th of March, 2023, and we are in program 67 of the Divine Comedy by Tom Padula, and this is Canto 28 of Purgatorio. So it's an interesting canto, because it's the precursor. Welcome to Assunta Lombardi. It's the precursor to the next six canti that really describe the earthly paradise just under Paradiso, just the celestial paradise. That's the Garden of Eden. That's what. That's the type of place that it is, and it's interesting because no longer we have Virgilio accompanying Dante. He's given him the okay to be free and to explore as he wishes. Once he gets into the forest, he's got to make a decision. Will I go with Leah, or will I go with Rachel, Rachele? So Leah was the person who does good in the world, as against the one who is more contemplative, like, you sort of don't move, but you look at, you're trying to help the world with your prayers. The Carmelites, nuns, that's the la vita contemplativa. So you stay in one spot and you have a connection with God directly that way. And, the rest of the world will look after itself, sort of thing. Or you can live a different type of life and you want to explore what people do and you want to help. And that's where we are. But this one here is interesting, the Canto 28, because Dante actually becomes free. We have to see what he does. Now, I have tried to read what some of the notes are available. There's a lot available on Dante online from universities, and a lot of the people who provide analysis, that they have their own take on things. But my situation is, well, I don't know very much about Dante. I'm like a student. I'm reading it for the first time. So I make a little bit of effort to find out what the canto is about, but that's about it. In the end, I am here reading the actual canto and providing my own interpretation of it. Not really, because, you depend on the notes that people provide as well in the book. So, but you get an idea of what Dante is trying to do here. What he's trying to do is, with the Divine Comedy, is, we explore sins and punishments. Then we say, okay, well, some of the sins can be forgiven. So you got the Purgatorio and you redeem the sin by penitence. And then you get to the top of the mountain and you got this, this large space like a forest that is the Paradiso Terrestre. It's the Eden where Adam and Eve lived, until God had given them this beautiful place, really beautiful place to live in, and then they committed sins. Now, Dante, even though he's purified all his sins, he hasn't quite explored his own weaknesses. And I think at first he meets this woman called Matilda, they call it here, but he actually doesn't disclose the name of this person until the end of Canto 33, which is the end of the Canti of Purgatorio. But we know it's Matilda because people, have done a lot of reading over the 7 centuries and a half and a bit since Dante's work came to the fore. So that's where we are today. It's going to be interesting because I will give you a little bit of a summary to begin with. Then after this, I will go to Amica Poesia and I'll do 2 poems, in prigione con felicità, and then Cori all'improvviso. Now, trying to work out my computer here, the iCloud, this and that. And so I'm hoping that today there won't be another, let down by me with the computer. But I'm looking into it a lot more now to see, and I think that's the problem with all of us, is that we are very ignorant of our own technology, unless you're a real expert, which is very unusual for normal people. So that's where we are. We all struggle and we all have to come, we all have to overcome our difficulties. And it's the same then trying to get into paradise. Okay, we've looked at the 7 cardinal sins. There are also 7 cardinal virtues. I'm assuming then here we're going to meet them. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And we'll start with one word, vago. I am moving about. I'm going to explore this new place. Okay, so let me see what I've got here for you in terms of a summary. But I'm going to be very short with this. I'm not very short. So, welcome to Anno Bentivoglio. The last 6 canti of Purgatorio, canti 28 to 33, take place in the Garden of Eden, also known as the earthly or terrestrial paradise. Here, atop Mount Purgatory, Dante has returned to the perfection of the Garden of Eden, the place from which Adam and Eve were expelled after eating the forbidden apple. As the original home of Adam and Eve, this is the place chosen as the nest for human nature, the place given by God to Adam and Eve as they called a mortgage on the eternal life until they defaulted on the loan. In other words, they committed the sin. So I'm not going to read this sort of explanation anymore because I'm just going to go into it now. Okay, welcome to Anno Bentivoglio. Okay. Adesso cominciamo. Adesso we're going to start with the reading of Canto 28 of Purgatorio. Okay, here we go. Before we go, cheers to Canto 28. Ok. Vago già di cercar dentro ed intorno la divina foresta spessa e viva, che agli occhi temperava il nuovo giorno. Senza più aspettare, lasciai la riva, prendendo la campagna lento lento su per lo suolo che d'ogni parte auliva. Beautiful entrance. Vago di cercare dentro ed intorno. So in other words, he says, I'm going to I'm free now, so I'm going to go around and discover what there is in front of me. And this is, of course, the beginning of the day as well. And he says, aspettar lasciai la riva. So he's near a river. And then here we got un'aura dolce, senza mutamento, avere in sé, mi feria per la fronte, non di più colpo che soave vento. There was a breeze coming through. And it was not so strong, it was just a breeze, of course, so it wouldn't disturb the atmosphere. Per cui le fronde, tremolando pronte, tutte quante piegavano alla parte u la prima ombra gitta il santo monte. So, this wind coming through, welcome to this wind coming through, and it's like the first shadow, la prima ombra, gitta il santo monte. So Purgatorio is a santo monte because it's a saintly place in many ways. It's the precursor to paradise. Non però dal loro essere dritto parte tanto che gli augelletti per le cime lasciassero d'operare ogni loro arte. So gli augelletti, they were also the birds here, and they were left to do whatever they needed to do in their nests. Sorry. I don't know. You'll have problems today. Here we go. Okay. So there are the birds here. So the wind, il vento, gli uccelletti, la foresta davanti, all the bits that describe the situation. Ok. Ma con piena letizia, l'ore prima is the first hours of the day, cantando, riceviano intra le foglie che tenevano bordone alle sue rime. Tal qual di ramo in ramo si raccoglie per la pineta in suo elito di chiassi, quando eolo scilocco fuor di scioglie. So, Chiassi is a place near Ravenna where Dante lived for a while, and it's a beautiful place. I've been there, and it's just lovely, the whole atmosphere. And this it says, tenevano bordone. So all these plains, you know, this beautiful place was like you know, the edge of a forest where you're looking forward to going into it. So Eolo, of course, is the wind, is the god of the wind, il vento, Eolo. And Scirocco, in old Italian, is actually Scirocco, so that's the cause. Eolo brings Scirocco, in other words, brings the breeze to these places here. Già m'avevano trasportato i lenti passi dentro alla selva antica, tanto che io non potevo rivedere ond'io mi entrassi. So, i lenti passi, he was going up very slowly. And then he says, io non potevo rivedere I couldn't see more forward than I could from this side of the river, sort of thing. Ed ecco più andar mi tolse un rio. So the river, il fiume, l'ha fermato because he couldn't go straight away. So he said, non potevo rivedere ond'io mi entrassi. I couldn't see where I was going. Ed ecco più andar mi tolse un rio che in ver sinistra con sue piccole onde piegava l'erba che a sua ripa uscio. This is not a big river, it's a flat river. There's water. There's everything about this particular place is gentle. Is gentle. Che in ver, ed ecco più andar mi tolse un rio, che in ver sinistra con sue piccole onde piegava l'erba che in sua ripa uscio. Tutte l'acque che son di qua più monde parriano avere in sé mistura alcuna verso di quella che nulla nasconde, avvegna che si muova bruna bruna sotto l'ombra perpetua che mai raggiar non lascia sole ivi né luna. Mamma mia, tutte l'acque che sono di qua più monde. So, tutte l'acque, let me see. Tutti i corsi d'acqua che sulla terra sono più limpidi parrebbero contenere in sé qualche impurità, ma apparirebbero torbidi a paragone delle acque di quel fiumicello così trasparenti. So, in other words, this is a reference to the sins that we make. So in this place here, we got to a place where the waters are very clean. So in other words, we have left our sinful life. We're going to explore now this new life, which is not part of humanity. It's more the aspirations that humans should have in their daily living. So this is you know, all this canto here in the description is very idyllic, but in reality it says we are in a different place that Dante does. We are in a different place here, and we're going to find out what the good living is. And what is good living for Dante? Good living for Dante is to follow the sort of the church, the idea of the life for reaching paradise. In other words, how good can you be on this earth? La vita nostra è piena di tante cose che sono peccaminose, ma da questo punto in poi Dante non guarda quelle cose. Dante vede oltre, quindi i canti 28 a 33 sono canti di ideologia cristiana, non contro, ma insieme a quella ideologia pre-cristiana che Dante accetta. So Dante accepts the pre-Christian ideology in terms of the new ideology of the church. So, but we know that a lot of sins are committed under the governance of the church and of the empires. He says, well, the things that belong to humanity, in other words, to daily living, should belong to the government, to the emperor. And the other ones that are contemplative in nature should belong to the church. And of course, the two get mixed up in the Middle Ages, and there's a lot of... so Dante comes up with this particular poem. He says, I'm going to give you a solution here. And, you know, he explores it in detail, what's going to happen. So here we go. Tutte le acque che son di qua più monde pariono avere in sé mistura alcuna verso di quella che nulla nasconde. Avvegna che si muova bruna a bruna sotto l'ombra perpetua che mai raggiar non lascia sole ivi né luna. Quindi la foresta non ti fa passare la luce del sole e della luna. It's a completely dark place. But he's going to go into there. But it's a good place. It's not like the one at the beginning of the Divine Comedy. This is a different forest. This is a good forest. Remember, when Dante started the journey, he was in a very bad forest. There were three animals that weren't stopping his passage, and then they had to go through the Inferno, and then through Purgatorio. So he's finally got to another selva, but it's not selva selvaggia, this selva oscura. It's a good one. It's a good one. Coi piedi stretti e con gli occhi passai, so he went over the river, di là dal fiumicello, so he walked over, per mirare la gran variazione di freschi mai, e là m'apparve, sì come egli appare subitamente cosa che disvia per maraviglia tutto altro pensare, una donna soletta che si già e cantando e scegliendo fior da fiore ond'era pinta tutta la sua via. So he crosses the river, and there c'è una donna sola, soletta. There's a woman. The name of the woman is Matilda, but we don't find out until later. And this is a reference to the way they used to write poetry in the Middle Ages, before Dante, because these are literary references as well. So Dante is a complex individual in terms of being an author. And therefore, that's why he's kept the interest of so many people for so long. So this is where we are. So, una donna soletta. But what was she doing? She was cantando, she was singing, picking up flowers, beautiful place, you know, the odor, fantastic. And then Dante approaches and says, "Deh, bella donna, che a raggi d'amore ti scaldi. Si può credere a sembianti che sogliono essere testimon del core. Vegnati in voglia di trarreti avanti, diss'io a lei, verso questa rivera, tanto che io possa intendere che tu canti." So he says, bella donna che stai cantando sotto i raggi d'amore, sotto i raggi del sole. He says, where you warm yourself up and you'll warm me up too, in a way. That's the physical part of it and the intellectual part of it as well. Si vuol credere semplicemente, I want to believe in what I see. Come on, come forward so that I can listen to you singing. Venni e ti voglio di trarti avanti. Dissi a lei verso questa rivera, tanto che io posso intendere che tu canti, ok? Tu mi fai rimembrare dove e qual era Proserpina nel tempo, and this again, the erudite Dante, he goes into the old classical myths of antiquity. Proserpina, she was stolen from the earth by Plutone, by Pluto, who took her into the underworld. Not a nice guy, but because it's the end of spring, according to this. So there are notes here about it. So, tu mi fai rimembrare, tu mi fai ricordare il luogo dove si trovava Proserpina e quale era, giovane e bella, nel momento in cui sua madre, Cerere, perse lei, rapita da Plutone, e lei perdette il mondo fiorito e primaverile of the beautiful art. So, sin, il peccato, ti fa perdere la tua primavera. When you first start and you're pure at heart, then you start making sins. You lose your primavera. You then go to the next phase of life. So this is why Dante goes back in time. Come si va la madre? So 3 lines. Tu mi fai rimembrare dove quale Proserpina nel tempo che perdette la madre lei ed ella primavera. And so the mother also lost her daughter. 3 lines. And people write big essays about it. 3 righe che poi ti portano in un altro posto. Dante è complesso per questa ragione. Ci vuole la mitologia, ci vuole l'idea del cristianesimo, l'idea del paganesimo, di tante idee. So this is, welcome to Rob Rowe. Come si volge con le piante strette a terra e intra sé, donna che balli e piede innanzi, piede appena mette, volsesi in sui vermigli e in sui gialli, fioretti verso me, non altrimenti che vergine che gli occhi onesti avvalli. So this woman here, who's picking up flowers and is singing, so she's heard Dante saying to her, come closer, I want to hear you singing. And she does. But how does she do it? She picks up the various flowers with different colors. Vermigli means red. Gialli means yellow flowers and red flowers. Doesn't mean the green ones. For some reason. Fioretti verso me, non altrimenti che vergine che gli occhi onesti avvale. So she's a pure of heart as well. E fece i prieghi miei essere contenti, and she made me happy. She saw la soletta, she's on her own. This guy comes along, he says, hey you, how are you? Nice, huh? She wasn't scared of him. Si appressando sé. So it's an idyllic place. Because if you're in Melbourne in the middle of the night, let's say someone will attack you, it's different from this place here. This place is idyllic. No one can do any wrong here. E fece i pieghi miei essere contenti, sia appressando sé che il dolce suono veniva a me coi suoi intendimenti. So he says, she was singing and I listened to her singing and it was beautiful, really and truly. Tosto che fu là dove le erbe sono bagnate già dall'onde del bel fiume. So she came across to the river, to the side of the river, or those parts. Di levar gli occhi suoi mi fece dono. And so she raised her eyes. She gave me the gift of her eyes. She raised her eyes and looked at him. Non credo che splendesse tanto lume sotto le ciglia a Venere, trafitta dal figlio fuor di tutto suo costume. So Dante, of course, goes, this is, this is like light, real light from her eyes. So she's a divine creature. Ella ridea dall'alta riva dritta, trattando più color con le sue mani che l'alta terra senza seme gitta. So she was smiling, laughing. L'alta riva dritta. So in other words, she represents in many ways the rightful way to follow once you are crossing the river and you go more and more into this forest, in this paradiso terrestre, this earthly paradise. 3 passi ci faceva il fiume lontani, ma l'Ellesponto l'ave spesso va a passo serve, ancora freno a tutti orgogli umani, più odio da Leandro non sofferse per mareggiare intra sesto abido, che quel da me per calor non saperse. So this is another reference to mythology again, the mythology. So he says 3 passi. So di 3 passi solo il fiume ci teneva lontani. She was only 3. Eppure l'Ellesponto, là dove passò Serse, alla guida dell'esercito che invadeva la Grecia, servendosi di un ponte di barche, e l'esempio del suo insuccesso serve tuttora a frenare gli eccessi dell'orgoglio umano. Non fu odiato da parte di Leandro a causa del suo mareggiare tra Sesto ed Abido, più di quanto non lo fu quel fiume da me per il fatto che allora non si aprì per lasciarmi passare. Mamma mia! So he was somehow stopped, but this is a reference. Again, it's a mythological thing. I can't explain it really. You can't do justice to this unless you actually go and look up Proserpina, Plutone, Abido, all those characters from those parts. Okay, so she says, now they're only 3 meters away from each other, maybe following COVID rules at 2 meters, stay away. I don't know what it is. In other words, there's a bit of a distance there, but not so much. So that, she said, voi siete nuovi, you are new here. E forse perché io rido, cominciò ella, in questo luogo eletto all'umana natura per suo nido, maravigliando tienvi alcun sospetto, ma luce rende il salmo delle tasti che puote disnebbiar vostro intelletto. So she doesn't say, like they used to say about Dante before, oh, you are the body here, how come you are here? You shouldn't be here. You should. So they're judging him in Purgatorio before this Paradiso Terrestre and the Inferno. Whereas here she says, oh, that's good. She was smiling. She says, well, not many people come from down there to here, but you are here because you are going through your journey, and you better watch out and, discover what all this is all about. Why now we are in Paradiso Terrestre, in earthly paradise. How do you achieve it? So you're going to go from here to paradise, and there will be other people that will allow you up and show you the way and show you how you should live. But you are only an author. So take note before you write your poem, because when you get back there, it is your duty to let people know what they should do in order to reach paradise, both the earthly paradise and the eternal one. Not bad. I think that explanation is not bad at all. Ma luce rende il salmo delectasti, mamma mia, vorrei nuovi, Leandro, meraviglia sospetta, e tu che? Here she says, e tu. Straight after that, che può disnebbiare tuo intelletto, in other words, your intellect at the moment is full of fog. You know, a lot of things you don't know. So this passage through this will allow you to clear your mind, sort of thing. And then she says, e tu che sei dinanzi a me e mi pregasti, di salcio vuol udir, che venni presta ad ogni tua questione, tanto che basti. So Matilda says, again, he lost Virginia, and she says, e tu and you, if you want to know more, all you have to do is ask me. I am at your service. Not bad, you get into earthly paradise and someone says, welcome, enjoy yourself, you know, whatever you want to know, we'll know. But don't forget to ask the right questions. Notice what happens here, because he's going to meet a lot of people in this place, and they're all beatificati, they're saints, they are blessed people. Okay? So say tu, che sei davanti agli altri due, mi hai pregato, dimmi se altro vuoi sapere da me, se davanti agli altri due. So in other words, Virgilio is gone, but Stagio remains, I think. No, I don't know. I haven't read the rest of it, I don't know. So we'll find out. L'acqua, diss'io, e il suon della foresta impugnan dentro a me novella fede di cosa ch'io udii contraria a questa. So the waters here, they're so mellow and welcoming, and il suono della foresta, the sound from the forest, in other words, the good sound from the forest, give me the extra faith that, about this place, because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to interpret it properly. That's what he was afraid of, in my opinion, there. Ondella, and then she says, io dicerò come procede per sua cagione ciò che ammirarti face, e purgherò la nebbia che ti fiede. So she says, don't worry, I will be the one who will clear your fog in your mind, and I'll let you have a clear vision of what you see, so that you can remember it. Lo sommo ben is God. Lo sommo ben, che solo esso a sé piace, so he wants people to behave properly towards each other and himself in his image. L'uomo buono, in other words, he created this earthly paradise, but he gave you freedom, liberté. The freedom is an innate thing from God to men, because he says otherwise you'd be following whatever he said. So you can't sin, you can't do the right thing. This guy here wants to test you. You've got to do the right thing, and in order for him to test you, he created this earthly paradise. But then the first humans, Adam and Eve, they ate, and the woman was at fault because she picked up the apple that the serpent gave her and ate it. And poor Adam had to suffer, because according to, again, the Bible, whatever, the woman was a part of Dante, came from his thigh. All this is, don't forget, I'm Thomas. I sort of tell you these things, but I got my doubts about a lot of stuff, but a lot of people truly believe it, without interpreting it. You need to interpret these things. So lo sommo ben che solo essa se piace, fe l'uom buono e a bene a questo loco, diede per a lui d'eterna pace. So he created this place and said, you can live here forever in peace. Per sua difalta qui dimorò poco, but for his fault men, in other words humanity, lived here only for a short period of time. Per sua difalta, cambiò, per suo impianto io affanno, cambiò onesto riso e dolce gioco. So, because of the default of sin came to being, they couldn't stay here and they were put outside. Perché il turbar che sotto da sé fanno l'esalazione dell'acqua e della terra, che quando possono dietro al calor vanno, all'uomo non facesse alcuna guerra, questo monte salì verso il cielo tanto e libero né dindi ove si serra. So in other words, she sang, what I was saying, that the waters and the earth, etc., in other words, where we live, you know, in the world that is below this area, because earthly paradise is also a selected piece of the land. But outside of it, there are all those naughty people doing all naughty things in humanity. And some of them realize their mistake and they ask for forgiveness, as therefore they then do penitence and then they are saved. But you've got to do penitence, you know, when you've done something. And our laws, the justice system, moves very slowly, but it tries to do exactly what I'm saying here. L'uomo non facesse, here we are. All'uomo non facesse alcuna guerra, questo monte salì verso il cielo tanto e libero né dindi ove si serra. So in other words, this one here, this place, a particular place is earthly paradise leading into eternal paradise. Welcome to Rob Rowe. What a wonderful idea to listen to me reading in Italian. And there's also Anna Bendivoglio from Potenza, Italy. I can't believe it. And someone else from here. So this is the new world. Or perché in circuito tutto quanto l'area si volge con la prima volta, se non li è rotto il cerchio d'alcun canto, in questa altezza che tutta disciolta, nell'area vivo, tal moto percuote e fa sonar la selve perché folta, e la percossa pianta tanto puote che la sua virtute l'aurea impregna e quella poi girando intorno scuote, e l'altra terra, secondo che degna, per sé, per suo ciel, concepe figlia di diverse virtù, diverse legna. Now this is pretty, I read it all because it's pretty difficult. Or perché in circuito tutto quanto, I'm going to ask the help here. Or perché Matilde, dopo aver spiegato che non c'è contrasto tra ciò che Dante vede nella foresta e ciò che gli è stato detto da Stazio, si foresta e ciò che gli è stato detto, si avvia a rispondere alle domande sull'origine dell'acqua e del vento nel paradiso terrestre. Per prima cosa spiega le ragioni per cui qui c'è il vento. Ora, poiché l'atmosfera si muove in cerchio, circolarmente, in circuito sempre insieme con tutti i cieli fino al primo cielo. Okay. So, the last six canti, and it's the top of the mount of Purgatorio. And the wind was created in order to give breeze, breeze to all this circular movement that leads Dante and who else and all the people who go through it to reach paradise. So the wind was moved around. Okay? Ora, poiché l'atmosfera si muove in cerchio, etc., etc. So what happened to the water? So, in other words, what happens here is that a further description of the way the wind has affected the earthly paradise mount. Ok, tutta disciolta indica non solo il pronto. Okay, let's go on because otherwise I won't finish. So that's the way it is. So le piante così percorse. So the wind sort of brings this breeze. It's sort of a good living. It's good living. Now this one here, I've still got quite a bit, so I better keep going because I have to do my other sections. So here we go. I'm going to be a bit faster this time. Non parrebbe di là poi maraviglia udito questo quando alcuna pianta senza seme palese vi si appiglia. E saper lei che la campagna santa dove tu sei, d'ogni semenza è piena e frutto ha in sé che di là non si schianta. So in this place here, there's a lot of fruit, it's a very fertile land. L'acqua che vedi non sorge di vena che ristori vapor che gel converta, come fiume che acquista e perde lena, ma esce di fontana salda e certa, che tanto dal voler di Dio riprende, quando ella versa da due parti aperte. So, he's explained the wind, that it moves, but then he says the water that is coming through here comes directly from God. And that water there gives sustenance to everything, to life in earthly paradise. So the water itself represents the right way we should move. But that comes directly from God. So if you believe, so if you contemplate God, that's why la vita contemplativa, the contemplative life, is superior to the other one, where you just go out into the world and do good. The contemplative life gives you a direct link to God. That's l'acqua. I don't know. Da questa parte con virtù discende che toglie altrui memoria del peccato. So this water here takes away the memory of sin. You're not allowed to have sin in Paradiso Terrestre. So you forget all about it. Once the souls go up there, they're not allowed to go through to remember their sins. They've been purged. They've done their penitence. No more. Forget about it. You go into paradise. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to remember your sins anymore. And that's where Dante, coming through, is going to be challenged. This Matilda is very nice to him. I'm your servant. But when he meets Beatrice, that's what Beatrice is going to do to Dante. And that was the love of his life. Interesting. Da questa parte con virtù discende che toglie altrui memoria del peccato, dall'altra d'ogni ben fatto la rende. By taking away the sin, it also gives the souls, clears their mind and their heart, they purify. In other words, they move forward towards being blessed. Quincile te, così dall'altro lato, Eunoe si chiama, e non adopra se quinci e quindi pria non è gustato. So, there are two rivers there. One is called Lete, and the other one is called Eune. Now, I've seen Lete means peccato. Peccato, through Lete, once you go through these rivers, you forget your sins. But then, when you get to Euno, the other river, when you get to the other river, it gives you wellness in your mind. In other words, you get ready for the rest. And I think at that time there, that's when Matilda, I will accompany him, but Dante, but he'll meet Beatrice, and from what I've read a little bit, I'm not quite sure, Beatrice asks him a lot of questions in order for him to purify his mind, in order for him to get to paradise. And then his mind, and then we'll see beatification, the saints, the blessed people, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So here we go again. Se quinci e quindi pria non è gustate tutti gli sapori, no, quincile te, così dall'altro lato, e uno si chiama, e non adopra, se quinci e quindi pria non è gustato. You have to experience both of these waters before you can be, ready. E avvegna che assai, e tutti altri sapori, esto è di sopra. So you're going to experience everything else. E avvegna che assai possa essere saggia la sete tua, perch'io più non ti scopra. So your thirst for knowledge, for divine knowledge, will be satisfied once you get to this. la sete tua perch'io più non ti scopra. Darotti un corollario ancora per grazia, né credo che il mio dirti sia men caro, se oltre promission teco ti spazia. So I'll give you a corollary of this grace. Now, ne credo che il mio dirti sia men caro. So in other words, you will appreciate what I'm telling you. Se oltre promission teco si spazia. In other words, I will open your vision. But the vision is only a vision. Then he has to experience the effects of paradise on him. Quelli che anticamente poetarono, those people in the past who wrote poetry, l'età de loro è suo stato felice, forse in Parnasso esto loco sognare. So, the pre-Christian era, they called this earthly paradise the Parnasso. And that's they were the poetry. The poets of the time, they couldn't access divine solutions to human frailty and problems, but they thought of this Parnasso, of this earthly paradise, as being there. They called it with different names, so that's why Dante, he doesn't put a judgment on whether other religions, or even the pagan religions, were wrong or right. He just says they were just in the pre-Christian era. And the post-Christian era with Jesus Christ is a different world altogether. We have this possibility of, knowing, being guided, if you like, by the church. So the institution of the church, all that it contains within it, some wrong people, the institution itself cannot go wrong. That's where people say the Pope is infallible. Whatever the Pope does, it's infallible. It's a direct link to God. And so when Benedict the 16th or the 6th abdicated, it was something different. You got to really think about it. And then Pope Francis now. So in other words, this is where we're at. But this is in the middle of the Middle Ages, where the power of the church was felt all through society, including in the East. Quelli che anticamente poetarono l'età del loro suo stato felice, forse in Parnaso esto loco sognaro. Qui fu innocente l'umana radice. Qui primavera sempre ogni frutto, nettare è questo di che ciascun dice. In this place here, humanity, the beginning of humanity, they were innocenti, they were innocent people. In other words, Adam and Eve, initially, they were innocent. They just lived in this beautiful place. And they didn't commit any sins until, Eve accepted the apple from the serpent, and both of them ate it. So they had to get out. Io mi rivolsi indietro allora tutto ai miei poeti e vidi che con riso udito avevano l'ultimo costrutto, poi alla bella donna tornò il viso. So in other words, he turned around. Dante is the father of the still novisti. He's the father, before him, the poetry about women, etc. They were all about contemplating these women. They didn't give, but he looked at women in a different way. And he says, in his literary work, we're talking about people who write poetry here, the various schools of thought, of literary thought before him, the Provençal, the whatever, doesn't come to me straight away now. But, if I have to look it up again, I will. No problems. So that's it. That's Canto 28. And I honestly didn't not, I just read it once before. I read it once before, and I just read it. Voglio dire che io l'ho letto questo capitolo 28 soltanto una volta, e un pochettino ho visto quello che hanno scritto, però poi ho detto no, ma io questa volta cerco di spiegarlo con le note nel libro. Quindi, if somebody wants a book of Dante, Purgatorio, Paradiso, Insegna.com, they are in there. You can order them and I'll send them to you. Simple. That's why I'm doing all this work too, because ci vuole l'utile e il dilettevole. I enjoyed so much, but at the same time, one has to survive and live, and that's the challenge for every single individual in humanity, is that you're trying to do the right thing for yourself and for others, but we don't always have a clear mind about the way we proceed ahead in life. So that's that. Now, next week will be capitolo 29. Be interesting. This time here now, he's met Matilda. He passed the Rio, the Fiumicello, the little river, and then eventually he'll get to, because a lot of the people said that in the Parnasse there were 4 rivers, and Dante only mentioned 2. I just realized that he crossed the 2 little rivers, the Rio. So in effect, if you count those 2 plus the other 2, that makes 4 rivers. But a lot of the intelligentsia, if you like, they also say that there are only 2 rivers in Purgatorio. So it depends on how you look at it. Okay, Amica Poesia. So this one here, we're talking about happiness here. This is happiness. This paradiso terrestre per un uccello, l'uccelletto, in prigione con felicità. Questa è una poesia mia che ho scritto moltissimi anni fa, 30 anni fa, quando c'era mamma che aveva 2 canarini in una gabbia, poi ve la leggo in italiano, quindi this was written, and I'll read it both in Italian and in English. What is happiness? In prigione con felicità. Ho 2 canarini in una gabbia nel mio giardino. Un giorno la canarina dalle sbarre si liberò, ma restò là vicino alla gabbia per un po'. Ora che farò? Ora con chi vivrò? Si domandò l'uccellino fuori dalla prigione. L'altro uccellino mesto se ne stette, lì solo nel suo mondo, solo con i suoi ricordi, mentre la canarina volò nel giardino, nell'azzurro del cielo, nella libertà. Stanca infine la canarina si crucciò nell'erba fresca sotto un raggio di sole e pensò al compagno in prigione. Così s'addormentò. Una mano ad un tratto l'afferrò ed essa, poverina, alla sua fine pensò. Ma la mano alla gabbia di forza la riportò. A bit like this was my mother picking up the bird. But anyway, il canarino di gioia sobbalzò e con impeto accarezzò il suo perduto amor. E così la canarina nel suo nido ritornò e da allora se ne stette in prigione con felicità. This is now the English part. I'll read the English. I think it's page 62. Will I remember? Does TomPadula remember? In prison with happiness. Here we go. I have in my garden 2 canaries in a cage. One day the female canary freed herself, but remained close to the cage, asking herself these questions. What shall I do now? Where shall I live? And with whom will I live? The male canary looked saddened in the cage, alone in his world now, alone with his memories of happier times, whilst the female canary flew in the garden, in the blue sky, in freedom. Finally tired, the female canary rested in the fresh grass under the rays of the warm sun and thought of her companion in prison, then fell asleep. A hand suddenly took her, and she thought, this is the end. But to her surprise, the hand, by force, brought her back into the cage. The male canary jumped with joy and caressed with renewed enthusiasm his female friend, his lost love regained. And so the female canary returned to her nest, and there, in her prison, she happily stayed. So, you know, this, I want to read, this was one, I'm going to read the other one too. This is, you know, think about what we've been saying about Purgatorio and Paradiso. So if you follow, you know, God's will, etc., you live in a state of paradise. But this poem here is a continuation. I wrote it, I never thought I would make a comparison with Dante. Rallegrati. Rallegrati, o natura, davanti alla cattiveria, perché il momento della giustizia è giunto. Rallegrati, o tu, dal cuore giusto, perché la saggezza e la comprensione sono arrivate. Rallegrati, o sorriso, sulle labbra di coloro a cui la vita ha insegnato le buone maniere. Rallegrati, rallegrati, per sempre, o cuore mio, fra bontà e cattiveria, in guerra ed in pace. This was what I said to myself. Let's see what, you know, in English. Again, we could, you know, we could do this in one of my activities in a club and say, explain your poems. Rejoice, O nature, before evil done, for time of reckoning has come, Purgatorio. Rejoice, O you whose heart is fair, for wisdom and understanding are there. Penitence. Rejoice, or smile on the lips of whom nature has taught good manners. Paradiso terrestre. Rejoice, rejoice forever, O heart of mine, amidst good and evil, in war and in peace. So, that's it for today, for my poetry. Not a bad idea. And now we're going to go to choral improviso, and I'm hoping that I won't have a problem, because we only got a few. I want to do, you know, I want to do what I'm going to do, but at the end of the day, I have to go back into the computer. So let me see whether this is going to do it or not. Yes, no, yes, come on, yes. Okay, and then I've got to do this. Yes, come on. Oh, no. Never mind. Okay. Yes. It's coming. It's there. It's there in front of me. Isn't it wonderful? This is my last rehearsal with Dora and Rena, which I've tried to bring to you for quite a while. Here we go. There we are. And let's hope now. Okay. Next one. That's another photo. And then here. Don't let me down. No, you're not going to let me down. Another afternoon. It's a hot afternoon today, and it's the 23rd of February, isn't it?
23rd of February,
2023. And today I forgot my hat, so I borrowed one of Angel's old hats, and you know, he's with us now. Look at that. A good one. And we're going to do another 6 songs, and then we'll take a break after that, and we'll come back. This is Choral Improviso set number 8. So we've done already 7. So we've done 84 songs so far, 84 Italian songs. It's not bad. So some of them we got right, and some of them we got, you know, so good. But then in today's world, the mistake is accepted.
all good.
All good. It's all good. Okay, let's start now with Anima e Cora. So this Anima e Cora. Here we go. Anima e Cora. Nunca perdimmo pace o suona, non ci dicimmo mai perché. Bocco cavase non vonna, non so sti bocco in me, pure ti chiama e non risponda, per far dispietto a me. Anima e Cora, non c'è la sangue più, manca parola. considerate mi fa paura, canta con te, sempre con te, per non morire, che c'è, dici ma fa, parola male, so bene può campare, uno spiro, si smania bordo, perché sta amore, per già così, al valore. Forse sarà che tanto è dolce, forse sarà che bene fa, quando mi sente più felice, non è felicità, specie se a volte tu mi dici, distratta la verità. Tenendo da così, nel cuore, non c'è la sangue più, manca un'ora, su desideri mi fa paura, campa con te, sembra con te, per non morire, che c'è, dici la fa, parole amare. So bene può campare, uno respira, si smania poco, perché sta amore, già così, anima e cuore. I'll go straight into the next one, because I can. When things work, it's amazing. Paradiso. You got to wait now. Come on. Or maybe what I'll do next time. This is the first set of choral improvisation number 8. And we've done the first one. And the second one is Alle Porte del Sole, made famous by Divina, Albano, a few other singers too. But this is a beautiful tune. However, it doesn't fit in Dora's repertoire. So, not really. Okay. But we're going to try it anyway with Rena, and let's see how we go. And Dora will follow us if she can. If she can't, we will do it because we are interested in the lyrics of the songs. And we want people to learn Italian through songs and poetry. And, you know, you don't need other people then to learn Italian. You can do it via these songs and by using a wonderful YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for being there for us, for all of humanity. Okay? So, Alle Porte del Sole will follow. Will follow. Let's follow. Here we go. Rina, alle porte del sole. Okay. Un'anima avevo così limpida e pura che forse per paura con te l'amore non l'ho fatto mai. Cercavo le strade più strane del mondo, invece da te si arrivava per chiari sentieri. E adesso che sento il tuo corpo vicino, nel buio ti chiedo di portarmi con te. Alle porte del sole, ai confini del mare, quante volte col pensiero ti ho portato insieme a me. E nel buio sognavo la tua mano leggera, ogni porta che si apriva mi sembrava primavera. Alle porte del sole, ai confini del mare, quante volte col pensiero ti ho portato insieme a me, ti ho portato insieme a me, ti ho portato insieme a me. Che cosa mi dici che cosa succede? Mi dici di cercare una casa per vivere insieme, un grande giardino sospeso nel cielo e 1000 bambini con gli occhi dipinti d'amore. Allora i pensieri non sono illusioni, allora è proprio vero che io sto volando con te. Alle porte del sole, ai confini del mare, quante volte col pensiero ti ho portato insieme a me, e nel buio sognavo la tua mano leggera, ogni porta che si apriva mi sembrava primavera. Alle porte del sole, ai confini del mare, quante volte col pensiero ti ho portato insieme a me, e nel buio sognavo la tua mano leggera, ogni porta che si apriva mi sembrava primavera. Alle porte del sole, ai confini del mare, quante volte col pensiero ti ho portato insieme a me, ti ho portato insieme a me, ti ho portato insieme a me, insieme a me. Well, that's good. I'm pleased with that, but now I've learned my lesson. I'll go to the next one, and here we go. We've got, this one is a photo, and the next one is the presentation, I think. Again. This is Choral Improviso number 8, and it's the third song of the first set of 12, but we're doing 6 today. And this one here is a difficult one. It's Shuri Shuri. It's a Sicilian song, and therefore, you know, I'm going to have difficulties. But the other difficulties with this one here is that when people sing Shuri Shuri, they actually put different words. They're not the same words all the time. Therefore, some things work well and some things don't work too well. And also, there's the difficulty of the local language. You've got to be siciliano, devi parlare siciliano tutti i giorni per saperlo per bene. Io ci provo, come col napoletano, sono tutte lingue nostrane, però sono lingue del popolo. Ok, allora cominciamo fra poco con Shuri Shuri. Here we go. Yeah, that's Rena. We're waiting. Yeah. Shuri, Shuri. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, l'amore che mi dasti di ritorno. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, l'amore che mi dasti di ritorno. La la la, la 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 la. Shuri di rosi russi allo sbucciare, amaro dovuca femmini criri, amaro che si fa sopra gli ari, lustro di paradiso non mi vidi. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, l'amore che mi dasti di ritorno. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, l'amore che mi dasti di ritorno. La 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 la. Shuri di gelsomini arrampicanti, se vuoi passare e cantare mi senti, tutti le notti li passo avanti, mi farti dispetto eternamente. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, l'amore che mi dasti di ritorno. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, l'amore che mi dasti di ritorno. La 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 la, la 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 la. C'hai una zita che si chiama Netta, bella di faccina senza mi dubita. Certo mandai in sogni l'altra sera, mi dissi no perché mangiarti Buddha. Shuri, Shuri, Shuri di tutto l'anno, Well, keep going, all the music now. Once more. La musica mi lascia un po'. La musica mi lascia un Well, that's it. Now, there are 3 more songs for next week, but I have to finish. The time is over by 4 minutes. So I thought today went pretty well. I'm happy with the technology. I was able to sort things out. So thank you very much for coming on. Those people who come on now, but there are a lot of people who come on after the program. That's why in the future, a lot of my work will not have a specific time. I will come on Facebook whenever I can. And that'll give me freedom, and you will have the choice of course, Insegna.com, we're in the blog section, and YouTube, of course, on the TomPadulaTV, and also TomPadula.blogspot.com, and the Facebook, where the work occurs. Thank you to Facebook, and thank you for coming on. That's it for today. This is Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers. Ciao, arrivederci, alla prossima. And now finish off. Finish.